Welcome to Lemonade Yoga. I'm Sandy Till. Today's class will focus in the hips, so meaning the low back and the front and back of the upper legs. We'll begin by bringing our awareness to breath. Come to a comfortable seated position. Support your knees or legs however you need to. Lean against a wall or a couch if you need to. Bring your shoulders over your hips as best you can. Bring your ears over your shoulders as best you can. And then turning your attention inward for 10 breaths, bringing your awareness to your breathing. You're in, through the mouth or nose, and you're out. It may help you to gaze downward. You might even like to close your eyes. Just using this time to hone into where our breath is at today, reconnecting to it as an ally in our practice. And for these last 3 breaths, take your attention also to your hips and your low back, feeling for just what is going on there. Do you have any tightness or pain that you could feel for a shift in? It's just good to notice the difference between how you started class and then also how you feel at the end. So just taking a moment there for that. Next, we'll move into a seated side bend in butterfly shape. So butterfly shape is feet together, and bring your feet as close or as far to your body as you like. And then if you need support for your knees or hips, then have some support under your knees. And that could be a foam block or a yoga block or any object that you might have handy to you. For the seated side bend, we are going to do 2 positions today. We'll go over the ear and then we'll do chest opener. So, starting with the left hand down and walking your hand out onto your fingertips. Inhale as you float the right arm up. And as you exhale, bring the bottom shoulder down. Now from here, we'll roll the top arm forward and just spread out through the fingertips. Maybe relax your neck. Holding here for about 4 breaths. You might feel for lifting your ribs up off your waist and continuing to soften your neck and shoulder. We'll move to chest opener. So you'll inhale as you float your arm up towards the ceiling. I like to bend my elbow here because I'm quite tight in the shoulders. And on an exhale, lay your arm back. So just feel for letting it come back as far as it comfortably will. If you're really flexible, it'll go far back. I'm not very flexible in my shoulders, so this is it for me. This is it. And that's great. 4 to 5 breaths here. Bringing a little bit of heat now into the shoulders and the hips. When we focus on hips, we really got to get hot because they're big muscles and big bones and joints and ligaments. So in order to make an impact in them, we need to juice them up. We need to work them and get them warm with blood flow and synovial fluid. Let's bring the arm back in line with the torso, palm pointing down. And then I'm going to use an inhale to help myself up, pulling with that top arm, sort of letting the neck float to center. Second side, walking your right hand out onto your fingertips. Inhale, float the left arm up now. And exhale, bottom shoulder slides down. I like to wrap the top arm by rolling the shoulder girdle forward. It gives me more space at the base of the neck, and it gives a nice stretch through the bottom part of the shoulder. So in here, feels nice. Get your neck comfortable. While you work a seated side bend, you shouldn't be having any strain in your neck. Going for the chest opener, inhale, float the top arm up. I'm going to soften the elbow and exhale, lay the arm back. Just feeling for how far back it can go comfortably. If it gives you a pain response, bring it forward a little bit and then see if that's more workable. Now we're going right after warming up here with this first pose, so it's pretty challenging. If you need to change something, then change it. Palm down now, bringing the arm back in line with the torso and then easing your way up, letting the head float to center. Today, I want to do abs with a block for our abdominals. And I'd like to introduce using a rolled up mat instead of a block. Now, I've said before that a block is great, but it's also a little bit of a harder surface. So I'd like to invite you to show you how to use a block, and you could also use like a large beach towel and come up with the same type of shape. So with a regular thin sort of yoga mat, I'm gonna roll it long ways on top of itself, like that, and then sort of tightly just rolling it up like a little burrito. You kind of have to roll it over itself in some spots. Now, we'll get to where we use this prop for lots of things. We'll lay on it, on our bellies, and we can use it in all kinds of shapes. So if you like this over, or a towel over a block, then you can, sort of dedicate a mat to this. And some people even like tie it or tape it so that you always have your rolled up mat. So coming into the abdominal exercise here, we'll do our low level one. We'll lie flat on our backs and place the block or the roll, your object, between your legs as close to your body as you're comfortable with. If you can bring it all the way to your pubic bone, that's great. But it's just that you can bring your energy together to squeeze on it. So this activates these musculature here in the hips. So starting with the hands clasped behind the back of the head and the elbows pointing up towards the ceiling. Bring your low back, meaning your pelvic crest and your low ribs, gently into the floor. For this exercise, we'll do a low level one here. So you'll inhale. And as you exhale, squeeze the roll as you curl your head up into kind of a half of a crunch like this. Let's go for 6 to 10 of these as you can. Squeeze as you curl up. And inhale, release as you come down. The work here is to keep your pelvic crest and your low ribs bearing down gently into the floor as you do this. Exhale, squeeze and roll up. Inhale, release. If this is very easy for you and you'd like a harder version, then your work would be to bring your knees over your hips and repeat the same way. Exhale, squeeze as you curl up. That makes it quite a bit harder. And release. That's our abdominal for today. Go ahead and take a moment and feel what you've done. And then moving into bridge posture. So if you know that you like a block, then have your block handy. Align yourself by bringing your heels up towards your fingertips and have your feet just a little wider than your hip bones. Relax your arms and neck down to the side. Take a nice breath. Use your exhale to lengthen your tailbone and bring your hips off the floor. Use your inhale. I should show you the whole back. Use your inhale to arc up through the chest. So you're looking to lift a baby back bend here in your bridge pose. And then just keep stacking those moves. Every inhale is just a gentle extension, or rather expansion through the ribs. And every exhale is pressing down through the feet and bringing the hips a little higher. If you find yourself pressing your weight into your neck, and I'm kind of verging on that today a little bit, then bring your knees away from your head, pointing that way. You'll see the difference here. I'm pressing my weight into my neck there, and then I'm taking the weight away from my neck there. You can really see the difference. Stay in your bridge for as long as you can. And I'm saying 15 to 20 breaths. We really want to warm up the hips for our lunges. That's where we're going to stretch our thighs today. Notice as you stay here, and it becomes more and more work, if you're able to focus on working evenly through your legs. So find if you're putting your weight even through your feet, your heels, and the whole space across the ball of your foot. I like to lift my toes. That's a training that I have in my body. I like it. It works for me. Notice if you're working your legs evenly. One leg might be stronger than the other or different than the other. Just notice. Don't judge. Just notice. If this is hard for you, you're welcome to come down, take a break for a few breaths, and then come back up again. Let's roll down slowly, coming out by pulling your knees away from you and curling your upper back and then your low back. And at the end, your hips. Take a breath and feel for all of that energy moving around and all that work you've done. And then we'll turn over and go into lunges. So for the lunges, you're going to come on up onto your knees. And what we'll do here is a short sequence. We'll do 3 postures per side. Lunge with the back knee up, and then a twisting lunge. So the first lunge, I'll start with my right leg forward. And I like to have a prop near me if I'm new to lunges or if I just haven't been doing a whole lot of yoga. I like to support myself in my practice. So having a block or a chair or a bed nearby is not a bad idea. Okay, so for lunge, knee over ankle, square up here, square up here. The back leg should be straight and bearing down a bit. So from here, let's take an inhale and just sort of lift up through the ribs. And on exhale, lean forward from the hips. So the back leg is bearing down quite firmly to keep you from falling over. So here I'm going to bring my hands onto my knees because that feels easy today. And I'm focusing on my hips. So I'm not really worried about doing tricks with my arms or back bends or arm shapes today. I'm just mostly worried about getting into the hip. So for this one, feel for rolling the hip inward and then extending the waist up and away from it. You might get a little accentuation there. Holding for 4 to 5 breaths. If your body gives a little, you can lean a little further into it. Now we'll go to lunge with the back knee up. When you go to lunge with the back knee up, it's important that you square your front knee over the back foot again. And then I'm going to bring my hands down because I just know that I want this much support. If you're strong, you can leave your hands, or stronger feeling today, you can bring your hands onto your knees or even up to the ceiling. So from here, I'm going to curl the back toe under, take an inhale, lift the knee up. And then on exhale, I'll send the hips down. And I'll find my edge pretty quickly. 4 to 5 breaths here. The work is reaching the legs away from each other. So your front knee is working forward and your back leg is reaching away from you. So if you're doing anything other than that action, then play around with what you're doing, because there's a lot of spaciousness to be made in the hips if you can really direct the muscles in an extension from the joint way. All right, and then bringing the back knee down. For twisting lunge, we square up with that lunge. So again, square in the knees. For this one, bring your hand right next to your front foot, and I'll be turning away from you just because of the way the sequence goes. And then on the other side, I'll face you. So from here, you can bring your hand on your hip, lengthen your spine, and just roll away. If your arms are comfortable, you're welcome to reach your arm up. You can even do that chest opener action here that we started class with if you want. Twisting lunge for 4 to 5 breaths. Neck can be relaxed over to the side if that feels good for you, or neutral, or looking up at the ceiling if that's something that you like to do. It's most important that you're comfortable in your posture. It's not important that you have perfect form or alignment. Right, easing down and switching sides. So I'm going to take myself over to the other side by bringing my left foot forward now. And again, always taking the time to align your front foot under the knee, at least for the beginning of the lunge. That way you know you're there. When we come forward, your knee's going to come in front. If you have tweaky knees, we don't recommend that you lunge forward like this more than 5 times per practice in your yoga. Okay, so second side, inhale, lift up through the ribs, press down gently through the feet. And exhale, send the hips forward. Your body will stop you. And then you just give it some breath and some awareness. Feel for releasing. Feel for what's tight on this side. It's most likely completely different than the other side. And then lunge back knee up. Go ahead and square again the front knee over the front ankle. And then I'm going to bring both hands on the inside of the leg, curling the back toes under, taking a breath. As I exhale, I'll lift the knee and extend forward. So here you can, do different stuff with your back foot. So if you know this pose and you want to play around, go for it. If you're feeling like hands down isn't very hard and you want more of a challenge, bring your hands to your knee or up to the sky. All right, and then back knee down. And gently squaring the legs again for twisting lunge. So this, you want your feet wide enough so you don't feel like you're going to fall over. Place my hand in front of the back knee and next to the front foot. Inhale, lengthen the ribs and the chest up and away from your hips. And exhale, turn towards the front knee. Twisting lunge. Maybe reaching the arm up if you feel like doing that. Find a comfortable place for your neck. Your neck should not be hurting while you're doing a posture. So you can hang it forward. You could look up. You could find a neutral place. I think this is a pretty gentle twist, actually. Like the work of holding the lunge is hard-ish, but it's a pretty gentle twist. If you can tolerate being on your knees. Now, if you can't tolerate being on your knees, you could do warrior one for most of these shapes. Okay, and releasing out of that. Go ahead and step back. Woo. All right, now we'll go to back release, and then back traction, and then Savasana. So that was the work of the postures, and then we'll go to releasing. So back release, we've done it before. So great. Just crisscrossing your ankle over the knee, reaching through with your inhale, finding your grab spot, thigh or knee, and then exhale, bringing the legs in towards your body. I like to flex both feet here. Feel for using your exhale as a tool to help unravel tension in your muscles. You know, it's just like when you send the signal, you know, to your face to soften. Like if you're mad at somebody and you're like, okay, I need to change my expression to be effective here, you can actually relax your face on command. So I wonder here, can you relax your hips and your leg muscles as you exhale? And gently bringing that foot down, easing out, noticing the difference there between your left and right side. Switching sides. Inhale. Find your grab spot. Exhale. Find your edge. So I talk a lot about exhale being a relaxing point. And I think that the counter to that is that your inhale is your inquisitive point. So you're inhaling to pay attention to what you're doing and to bring all your awareness to it, kind of questing. And then your exhale is letting go of what you no longer need. Gently easing down from that, bringing both feet flat. Let's go for a back traction. One last move here. Bring the tops of your hands, not the tops, the heels of your hands to the tops of your thighs at your hip crease. Use a breath. And as you exhale, press down on your hips, feeling for creating some spaciousness in the low back. Now in this work, it might feel better for you to let your low back roll up like that, or it may feel better for you to bear your low back into the ground or the floor. Whichever one, play with it. Whichever one serves you best. And then work with that one. You can also do this with your
feet together in butterfly and pressing down that way. So from here, take a moment and release your traction. And we'll settle for a nice long Shavasana, resting time. We use Shavasana as a time of integration. So your breath can come back to normal and your main focus is staying comfortable. So I like to bring my knees together because my low back tends to be a little stiff. This is a great position. If you're comfortable with your legs just straight out and kind of flopping your legs open and your palms open, that's a very traditional way of taking Shavasana. It's like you're laying here so open, right, to receive. It's really most important that you're comfortable. So putting your hands where you like them, bringing your body in a shape that works for you. Just allowing yourself to settle here. And if you're ready to get up with us, then gently begin to deepen your breath. If you'd like to rest a little longer, then I invite you to do so. Move your fingers and toes. Slowly roll over onto one side. And take a few breaths here. And coming up to seated. Take a moment to thank each other for our practice. Thank you.